Hello, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Mr. Big Z, and welcome to episode 6 of Banished to the Frontier. Let's get right into it. So, I guess before we get right into it, let's jump in the tractor, fire that up. We'll hop out while it warms up because it is a cold January day. Before we get too far, let's talk about last episode, or last two episodes technically, because it was more of a part 1 and part 2. So, we mowed some grass, we windrowed that grass, we then baled 22 and a partial bale from 3 fields. This field here, pretty small, there's another field over there that I can't walk to fast enough to explain it. And then a relatively large field, I would say, over here on our east? Yeah, our east end of the Area 41 property line. So we took care of that, and we baled them. We also baled them. There are bales down there. I guess I should run over there. Let me get a little sprint on. We baled 23 bales, and I think they should be hopefully over 20% fermented right now. 21. Wow, look at that. Okay, sweet. And that one's 20. Okay, so we have a few bales. We still have a good little bit of fermenting to go before they are silage bales. And yeah, that is that. Only other thing that we did not get to do is our contract, which actually, let me go. I don't think I ever came back, and yeah, I did not collect on a 0 expired contract, I guess I could say technically. And yeah, that is, once again, that's that. But one thing we need to do is we need to talk about the consequence. Is it any quieter in cab? Hopefully that's not too loud. Yes, we need to talk about a consequence. So I pulled around and I have received some, or at least one response. Now the response I was given from one of the community members, but let's roleplay them as a town council person, was to only use one of our 3-point attachers, 3-point hitches. I wasn't given any further explanation on if it must be the back, if it must be the front, or if we could also use our front load attacher as well. So I'm just going to play it as we are limited to the back only. Back only, and yeah, we will play the entire month of January as back only hitch. So as you can probably see, I am loading up my trailer because we need to make some money. We need to make some money and get us up and above 8,000 hopefully in order... Ooh, this actually isn't the best trailer. Some trailers have some benefits and this one does, but it's not the trailer that we had before. So I need to make sure that things that I put in here are long enough. I don't know how long they need to be, maybe 2 meters at least. One thing I want to do is we have a good bit. Let me turn the truck off. Let me turn the tractor off. We have a good bit of trees here that that could probably be cut down. Now this is a good little bit of area, and I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do here. And earlier I had said that I wasn't going to cut too close to this northern property line, but we need the money, and this area might be able to be used for something else down the road. So there are a few small trees that I'm going to try to take care of, like 1, 2, 3, 4 at least. Those should all be liftable by hand, especially now that I don't have access to my front load attacher, and then in turn my my log forks. So I'm going to cut these 3 down, or sorry, these 4 down. Maybe even this one here. Yeah, we'll call this 5. I'll come back around for that one there. Essentially, I want to cut as few trees as possible in order to get me up and above $8,000. Once at 8,000, I'll buy a plow. I just got to double check something. Sometimes I have super strength on, and it's only for destroying stumps. Only for destroying stumps. Let me double check something. Mind you, this is how it worked in 2022. Oh, actually, open the F1 menu, super strength is on, turn it off. Oh. So one of two things just happened. Either I've been using it wrong the entire time, or they've made changes since FS22. In FS22, I'm pretty sure you had to enable super strength in Lumberjack in order to be able to destroy stumps. That may not be the case anymore, which is good because it's just one less reason for me to turn it on, and then I'm not forgetting to turn it off, because I do enjoy playing relatively realistically, and not having super strength on to move things around is fine. Sometimes like rolling a bale, to me that just makes sense. Mind you, I don't know in real life if you're able to roll an actual bale. Is it too heavy? But either way, I digress once again. We're going to get a little bit of tree harvesting done. Hopefully with these 5 trees I believe I just cut down, we'll be able to make at least $2,000. Yeah, hopefully we can, come here. Hopefully we can make $2,000, bringing us up and over 9,000, or at least at 9,000, giving me a little bit of room to buy a plow and not be absolutely broke, just in case something else pops up down the road. Okay, so I don't know if it's something you can recognize through the video. However, my traction with this snow is definitely being impacted. My top speed is much lower. My turns are pretty slippery, pretty slidey all over the place. Let's see if I could back this in without too much struggle. That should be fine. So after collecting the 5 trees and loading them up into my trailer, I really don't know how much money this is going to be. It doesn't feel like a lot, that's for sure. But in the end, I guess I only need $1,054. So let's unclip. Let's go sell, and hopefully 1,054 or more popped up on screen. Okay, yes, that is good. That is great. Now, next up, I need to drive this back to the lot, drop the saw, drop the back weight off, and then I'm going to grab I guess I need to drive back to the store to grab my plow. Unfortunately, oh, that's interesting. As you drive over the snow, it kind of gets worn in, worn down. Maybe I have a bit more traction on those spots. That's actually a pretty cool mechanic. One thing I was thinking about as I was driving over was if the snow does end up being pretty bad, especially under heavier snowfalls, it might actually be worth getting a plow or getting some type of snowblower so that I can at least move around my property a little easier. Maybe not something I'll do around town as any type of contract or any type of simulated work, but maybe it might make sense to keep it on the property just so that I'm not dealing with this while I move around and try to get things done. Now, the only other thing I was thinking about is the temperature. So it is -1 degree Celsius. And I don't know what is realistic for plowing. In my head, I'm thinking and I'm going to wait until it's at least 1 degree, at least above freezing, before I start to plow in any of my fields that I created, or pieces of land that I created. I don't like calling them fields because they're technically not fields, but they should be fields soon enough. So it's currently 0. It's definitely rising. We are looking at a high of 7 degrees today. So hopefully by the time I drop this off, get back to the shop, bring the plow back to the property from the shop, hopefully it's 1 or 2 degrees and I can get straight into plowing. I don't have to wait on anything. Okay, so we are back at our field, and just in time. It is now 1 degree. Let's make sure that we can unfold this and turn on create fields. Where would that be? Y, there we go. Get rid of that. Now, one thing that is pretty sweet about the snow having fallen is that I have a nice crisp line of where I actually mowed. And we'll see if this snow causes traction issues. Oh, this may be a lot much more of a struggle than I thought it was going to be initially. Yeah, whether we need to wait for the ground to thaw, but most likely we need to wait for the snow in front of us to melt away. I'm going to try to see what I can do. Hopefully it's not too much of a struggle. Realistically, outside of this, I don't have much else to do today. It is January. We have all of February and all of March to get these fields ready for seeding. Seeding in some grass is what's going to be happening. Yeah, we need to prepare these fields and also make some money so that we can buy a seeder. I think the seeder costs about $50,000. And that actually leads me, I might try to revisit the roller that I have. Actually has a seeder attachment or feature to it that I might try to take advantage of, because if I can pay, I think $3,500 to get that seeder part put on, and it works. That's the issue. If I end up spending $3,000 and it doesn't work, that is money I do not have and cannot afford to waste right now. But either way, we'll see. I'm going to crack at these fields, try to get them done without too much struggle. I'll see you all in a second. Okay, and we are wrapping up the last little bit of plowing here. It was mostly pretty smooth, but there are some moments just like I'm having right now that were a little bit of a struggle. Either way, with this last piece, there we go. We are done. Now, let's make sure we go ahead and turn off create fields. Yep, perfect. Hit Y once again. Close that menu down. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and leave this right over here. Actually, before I do that, let's take a look at any of our contracts. We do have a plowing contract now that we finally own a plow. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to accept this. Make sure we get this done out of the way. It's 11:40 a.m. I'm just going to flash through because we just watched a good bit of plowing, but I'll pick back up and there we go. I think perfect. That is the snow starting to disappear. So 4 degrees. Let me grab this. This looks like looks like 4 degrees is when the snow starts to melt back. Mind you, that might differ depending on how much snow has fallen. Maybe next time I'll try to wait till at least 4 degrees until, 4 degrees until I start plowing. We're heading up to field 5. I'm not too sure exactly where it is, but I do know that it's off in this direction, off by the stores. So I'm sure I'll find it without any issue. I'll pick back up with you guys like I mentioned once I'm done this field. Okay, and we are finished plowing the field. They cut me off early. Hey, I'm okay with it. One thing I did want to do, and hopefully this is something that can be done. There were a few trees just on the edge of this field. To me, a crazy place to let a tree grow. Let's roleplay this as I've spoken to the owners. There we go. And they said that we can take down these 2 trees. Yeah, tree 1, tree 2, it should make any future harvesting on whether it be wheat or sugar beets or whatever they end up putting down here. And then since this is such an ugly tree, we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to destroy it. Okay, yeah, so okay, so that's one thing about super strength with Lumberjack, is that if you want to delete a tree straight away, you have to enable super strength. Yeah, okay, cool. Let's make sure we turn that back off once again. Okay, so we are done this field. Let's go ahead and accept this. $1,162. Yep. In the bank. We are scraping by. What I'm going to do is let's cut these down now. Just to see how much they weigh. Okay, so that tree's 160. I can lift that on my own. That is not going to be liftable on my own. Yeah, let's chop that down. We'll chop these both up and we'll just swing on by. Now, what I'm going to spend probably the rest of the day, or a good bit of the day at least, doing is I want to start chopping down some of the trees near my property and start moving them off my land and preparing myself for a bit more money. Now we do need to ride this month out with the restriction of only using our rear hitch. Man, I could almost carry these logs over to the sawmill at this point, but I'll swing back over. I'll grab that one. Let's chop this down to size. This is going to be done by weight. Now when I get back down to my property, I am going to start chopping trees, and they're going to be done in 5-meter increments. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lift what I can and load them into the trailer, and then anything that is not able to be loaded into the trailer is what I will come back for with the forks, with the log fork specifically, and the telehandler, not the telehandler, the log forks and the front loader attacher at a later time. Obviously not this month, next month, once I'm able to figure out what happened to my... How much is that weigh? Why can't I lift that? This is what I mean. Sometimes that weight cut just doesn't properly line up with what is actually being carried. Either way, I'm going to get this done. You know what? I'll show you how much I make from this. Yeah, I'll show you how much I make from this, and then I will start chopping down trees from my own property. And we'll just try to get as many chopped down to clear the area behind, in and around our little shed of a house. And then just chop them all down and get into February. Ooh, I can carry this one too. Oh, that's pretty... Oh, I can carry all of them. Never mind. I chopped them down to weight. I can carry all of these. Okay, let's move these aside, make it easier, and I'll catch back up with you once I am ready to sell these. Okay, now in hindsight, I probably could have just carried them over to the sawmill faster than it took me to go down, drop my plow, grab the timber trailer, drive back up, and then load them into the timber trailer. But lesson learned on that, mind you. I probably won't be doing much more field or just off the field clearing for any of these fields. There's only 5 of them, and I don't think the other ones are anywhere near as close to the fields as that one is. But either way, $1,600 is where we're currently at now. All that wood. Okay, almost $1,200 extra in the bank. We are now up to $2,792, creeping forward once again. So what's next? So before I get too far down the road, let's take a quick pause, open this menu, swing down to our stats, and we want to look at this. So we've cut down 144 trees in total. I just wanted to bring that up so I can try to take a mental snapshot of where we are now and how many trees we end up cutting down. I'm just going to be cutting down trees. There isn't much for me to do until March, so I have the rest of this month and all of next month to figure something out. Since there's actually not much to be done outside of chopping trees down, and once again I'm going to be breaking them down into 5-meter lengths, lifting what I can at that length and weight into my timber trailer, and then just waiting for February to turn over to use my front loader again, unless I hear otherwise from the commenter that left this good restriction in. I'm probably just going to leave it here for this episode. Maybe a shorter one, especially in comparison to the last 2, but we're currently in a little bit of a limbo. Yeah, in a little bit of a limbo. Just waiting on money to flow in, and then also waiting on a month to roll by until we can start seeding down some grass. So now, one thing I can also talk about before I call it an episode for good, once I get on a nice straight line, I'll jump into a menu and show you all something. So, things to buy. We have a plow, and that's good, and we've completed the contract for the month of January. This actually might be a little longer than I want to be driving without looking at the road, so we'll just coast to a stop here. Actually, let's just apply the brakes. I don't know how far that's going to coast. Okay, so putting in grass. I think I want to try to wait to see if the roller that I have, which should be found under rollers, or actually under grass care. Yeah, so I'm going to wait to see if this works. I'd much rather wait to see if this seeder unit can do the job of actually planting seeds. If it can't, $3,000, that's fine. If not, I'll then go and spend the near $50,000 or maybe more than $50,000 to buy what I actually need. If I even have that much money come March. Now after that, after we have our seeder, I'm also thinking about a fertilizer. So let's look at yield improvement, fertilizer spreader, $2,000. I can easily get this. Maybe even something that is a little better. That only holds 300 liters of solid fertilizer. Maybe going up to something like this for an extra $1,500, but doubling my capacity and more, allowing me to put down solid fertilizer and lime. Trying to see what else might be a bit more beneficial. You know what? For the price, I think I'm going to stick here. It might require a few trips back and forth to some bags to load up, but realistically, I don't have the liberty or the luxury to potentially also need to buy a $50,000 seeder at worst case scenario, and then also a larger seeder that can hold more and spray wider as well. So that's that. We seed, we fertilize, we can then roll, and I think that's all I'll need to do. Typically, I would also buy a stone picker, but we're just not in the market for that with our current funds. Let's take a look at where our grass is right now. %. Okay, so almost a third done. Yeah, almost a third done. 144 trees already cut down. I'll pick back up with you all once I have something more to show. But with that being said, as always, I hope you're all having a great day. I'm Mr. Big Z, and I'll see you all next episode.